Think we're about ready. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Yep,
Chef Kyle?
I'm ready.
This is Chef Kyle, everybody.
How are you?
And he's going to be helping us out. All right, today we are making keto buffalo chicken meatballs. Now, this is a dish that I first had down at Daddy Jack's in New London, which is where I am now. This is RD86, by the way. This is the home of Keto Fest, which is going to be happening in July 20th, 21st, 22nd. And this is where all the cooking demonstrations are happening. And this is also where the meal for Sunday is going to be prepped and catered at the Guard. Anyway, if you want to learn more about that, go to ketofest.com. So I first had these at Daddy Jack's, and of course they weren't keto at all, but they were absolutely delicious. And I made it my mission in life to make a keto version of them. On the Two Keto Dudes podcast, I did publish a recipe that used pork rinds, and they were okay, but I did some experimentation this week in the RD86 test kitchen, and I discovered that konjac root powder was a much better binder than pork rinds for these meatballs. The pork rinds are delicious, but they're a little grainy, and I wanted something that made them a little more dense, because the meatballs, when you have them at Jack's anyway, are just really dense and delicious. But they're just chicken thighs with some spices and herbs and a mirepoix, which is, cut up vegetables. So, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. The volume went down? All right, I can fix that, because I have a preamp. If I had a preamp, I'd preamp in the morning. All right, that should be better. So the key to the binding is the konjac root powder, and the key to the flavor is the mirepoix that goes in the chicken meatballs. We're also using chicken thighs, not chicken breasts. There's much more flavor and fat on those. So I've got a pound of chicken thighs here cut up, which I'll tell you about in the middle. I can't really hear you, Robert, if you're going to have to speak up in that thing. And for the mirepoix, we have celery, red pepper, jalapeno pepper, and onion, and some garlic. And that's going to go in a mirepoix. That's the first thing we're going to do, and then we're going to put all of the ingredients together with the chicken. But first, you need to learn something very important, and this is why Chef Kyle is going to demonstrate now how to take the bone and the skin out of a chicken thigh that you get in the store. Chef Kyle.
Sure. All right. So you have your chicken thigh. We're going skin off, right?
Yeah.
So I'd remove our skin. Should pull off pretty easily. Just like that there.
Now these skins, by the way, you can see I've got a bucket of them. Save them, because next week I'm going to show you how to make crispy.
So you have your chicken thigh. This will be the outer side of the leg here. You want to flip it over to the inside. You want to run your knife right along the bone. Then put your knife to the side of the bone and kind of allow it to roll the bone over just like this. So that you end up with just the bone there. Tiny
That
bit
was
of meat
so
that hangs
fast
onto
and
it.
so easy.
So then at this point, you're going to want to check to see if there's any remaining cartilage or tendon there, just so that it doesn't get tough when we throw it into the food processor in a second.
Yeah.
You want to feel through it, make sure there's no bone, no cartilage.
So to speak. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is make a mirepoix. And a mirepoix is just a collection of aromatic vegetables that's sautéed in butter. So I've got a pan here, and I've got it already heated up. I'm going to throw some butter in there. And as you can tell, I'm deathly accurate with the butter. Not really. I just throw some butter in. And your onions go in there, your celery. I've got red pepper. That's just fresh red pepper. And I've got jalapeno. Now you want to do this to taste, right? If you're the kind of person who can tolerate some heat, and I am, I'm going to throw it all in there. But, if you've got some wussy people that you're cooking for that can't stand the heat, they won't like all that jalapeno. So this is it. And also notice that I didn't use carrots. Carrots are usually very important of a French mirepoix, but carrots have some extra sugar in them. And so I'm omitting the carrots, and you know what? You don't miss it at all. It's no big deal. And also, I'm going to throw some garlic in there. I'm going to leave a little bit of garlic out because I want to put that in my chicken. But garlic is one of those things that when you're sautéing it, it's very easy to burn. And once garlic burns, it gets all nasty. You don't want it to burn. So that's why I usually leave it until the end, just to soften it up a little bit. This is all going to get cooked anyway. Now while you're doing this, you want to preheat your oven to 450 degrees. And that's the oven that we have right here. Are we going to use, which one oven are we going to use, this one or that one? If we're using a convection oven, we want to heat it to only about 400, because that is really about 450 Fahrenheit in the real world, in a non-convection oven. So this doesn't have to get completely soft, right? Because again, it's going to get cooked, but you know, the more you let these flavors develop, the tastier everything's going to be. So if you go all the way to caramelization with the onions, you're going to get a very sweet flavor, and that's really good. But for now, I think that's going to suffice. So I'll turn that off, move it over here, off the heat, and now let's move on to what we're going to make the meatballs out of. So I've got a standard food processor here, and this is where I'm going to make my meatball mix. And I'm just putting the chicken thigh cut up into the food processor, distribute it well. Pretty simple. Now I've got some fresh tarragon. Fresh tarragon is wonderful, and it makes a really big difference with these meatballs. I also have some fresh sage. Sage and chicken, sage and turkey, they go together like, you know, like chocolate and peanut butter. I've also got a little bit of garlic. Like I said, I left, you throw about a clove of garlic in there just for a little flavor. I've got some avocado oil. You can use olive oil too, but the oil is going to make it nice and moist. It's going to keep those meatballs moist. I've also got an egg. Just one egg, throw that in there. Now this is what I use for the binder, a combination of grated Romano cheese and the konjac root powder, Konjac. You can get that online, you can get it in Asian markets, and it's a sort of, well, it acts as a binder, right? It sort of glues everything together. It's a starch that we can't digest. And shirataki noodles, if you were here for last week when we did the miracle rice, those are made out of the same thing. So of course, you're gonna add a little salt and pepper, teaspoon of each. Now you notice I'm not putting the mirepoix in this, or it would turn, you know, pulverize that stuff, and we want the actual texture in there. You have gloves? So, you know, you can see that it starts to turn into like a pâté. And that's what you want. Maybe scrape the sides down once to make sure there's no remaining stuff on the sides. Give it another go. All right, now we're good. So I'm going to put on some gloves because I'm going to make these meatballs with my hands, and chicken is something you don't want to mess around with. You want to be safe anytime that you're handling raw eggs or raw chicken. And I could just have gone and washed my hands, but you know, then I would have to, I would take a chance on pulling my cables out of my ears and my face. So all I really want to do is transfer this to a bowl. All right? Because I have gloves on, I'm going to use my hands, and that's fine. Put this underneath. Okay, now to this I'm going to add the mirepoix. There it is, remember that? We just made that. Just going to add it in.
Thank you.
Mix it all up. Woo. And you know, it's going to get happy in there. You don't have to let it set. You don't have to let it sit. It's going to be slightly goopy. That's okay. Now here's the basic process. You have a sheet pan, cookie sheet, and some parchment paper, the most wonderful stuff known to man. And you know, take a little bit of this stuff, whoops, roll it into balls, put it on the parchment. And I'm going to make my next one a little bit smaller because I want them to cook faster. I love buffalo wings. I love the sauce. I love blue cheese. Those flavors are just so intense and so great. And of course, you know, if you're on a ketogenic diet, you can eat wings. That's no problem. But, you know, meatballs are something that we miss because there's no breadcrumbs, right? I thought about ways that you could elevate this dish. I haven't talked to Robert about this, but you might like this idea. You know the chicken skin wraps that we did with chorizo? What if you filled those with this, right? So you take a chicken skin, you fill it with this meatloaf, meatball mix, you wrap it up, throw that in a deep fryer. Oh man, with the buffalo sauce on that, that would be amazing. What do I call that? I don't know, buffalo chicken pot sticker? It's sort of like a deconstructed buffalo wing, right?
I think that's brilliant. It's the buffalo chicken pot sticker.
Yeah, buffalo chicken pot sticker. Chef Robert approves. By the way that Richard Morris and I, the two keto dudes, get our support and are able to do this is through contributions from viewers like you. And if you'd like to make a donation, which we'd be very grateful for, go to patreon.2keto.com. That'll keep us on the air for years to come. Thanks. And that is the last one. Kyle's going to throw that in the oven. Yep, I'll throw my whatchamacallits in there. And now we have some more to do while those go in the oven. So we're serving these buffalo chicken meatballs with a side of celery and blue cheese dressing. Now the blue cheese dressing is one that I've highlighted on the Two Keto Dudes show before, but I'm going to make it for you right here. It's from the Chart House, and the Chart House is a very popular restaurant, and it's very easy to make. It's a combination of sour cream and mayonnaise for the base. So I got a cup of sour cream here, 3/4 of a cup of mayonnaise. You want more sour cream than mayonnaise as a rule, because the sour cream is what gives it that tang. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got some chopped garlic. That goes in there. You can use garlic powder if you want. Some dry mustard powder. Gives it the back of the throat tang. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You get that, like a really good steak sauce. Just gives it all sorts of great tang. And some Worcestershire, or Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
That's how they pronounce it in jolly old England. Worcestershire sauce. And now I've also got blue cheese, which I'm also going to need some for the sauce.
Okay.
Another one of these. So this is just blue cheese crumbles, and those are going in there. About 7 or 8 ounces. Yeah, you can take that off if you want. And just mix it up. This is blue cheese dressing. It's the best blue cheese dressing you've ever had. I also got to add some salt and pepper. You don't need much salt, but cracked black pepper in there, oh, that makes it so good. Like I said, this is my favorite. When I had this blue cheese dressing at the Chart House restaurant, I was like, oh my God, I have to have that recipe. And they gave it to me. This was before the internet, right? And then, of course, you know, it went online, and I was able to find it, and I was just in heaven ever since. I'm just going to take a taste of this with a big old chunk of blue cheese. Here we go. Oh, yum. That's so good. You want this? Oh, yum. And right here, this is the side dish we're going to serve the buffalo meatballs with. So I'm just putting some of that blue cheese dressing in this little monkey dish, and that'll be for plating. All right, Kyle's going to chop up some blue cheese dressing while I talk about the rest of it, which is the sauce, the buffalo meatball sauce. So this is buffalo sauce. Essentially, buffalo sauce is butter and hot sauce. I like to use Frank's Red Hot. It makes just the best buffalo sauce ever. But we're going to add to it blue cheese and heavy cream. So let me get this other dish here going. And after this, while we're waiting for the meatballs to cook, we'll take some of your questions, okay? All right. I'm going to use this one. Yeah, I'll just do that. It's blue cheese. It's good. It fits. Fits the flavor profile. No one's going to care. All right, so here we go. In a pan, Frank's Red Hot, heavy cream, butter, and blue cheese. Again, 7-8 ounces of blue cheese, cup of heavy cream, half a stick of butter, cup of Red Hot. And now you just want to melt this down. You don't want it to cook a lot because you don't want to cook it on high. You want to cook it over a low flame and just melt it down and get it all together. And the reason is it'll separate. And the fat will separate out. So just mix it, let that stuff all melt down. What's great about this is it's already got plenty of salt and pepper, right? The pepper from the hot sauce, the salt from the cheese, the salt from the butter, salt from the hot sauce. That's why you need the cream to dilute it down a little bit, because it's sort of like a soup, like a sauce, rather than just a coating for buffalo wings. And it is the most delicious, delectable, yummy stuff ever. So Robert, you got some questions for me over there?
I love mustard is a question. And I'm sure you got a good answer.
Yeah, mustard's good. I love mustard. That's good stuff. All right, any other questions you guys have? Type them in there. If you have questions about keto in general, I mean, this is a keto cooking show, but you know, it's all about the ketogenic diet and the freedom from food that we have enjoyed here as well as the tastiness of it.
Substitute any other meats for that instead of chicken?
Great question. Can you substitute any other meats for that instead of chicken? Yes, absolutely. This is just a template for you to use for your own creations. When I was in here yesterday, I was experimenting with the konjac root powder and getting the right proportions. And I used hamburger because I didn't want to grind up and waste the chicken. And that was great. Those were amazing. And of course, they're more like your basic Italian meatballs, right? The classic meatball mix of meats is beef, pork, and veal in equal proportions. And if sometimes you can find in the grocery store, you can find them just as meatball mix, but it's all three meats separately, right, in one package. So yeah, I would encourage you to do that. And also experiment with other flavors. If you want a more Italian style meatball, you want to put some oregano in there, maybe some thyme, right, for herbs. More garlic, maybe more onion. Absolutely experiment. And I've done plenty of other meatball recipes using pork rinds, as I said before, as the binder with egg. But I'm really liking the way konjac flour is coming out. It doesn't whack you over the head. It's just a nice texture. Are there other things that we can use the sauce for? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a rich, fatty sauce. And as you know, in the world of keto, we're always looking for those sauces. So if you just wanted to make a baked chicken, for example, you could just drizzle this right over your baked chicken. Any kind of meat that you want that buffalo sauce flavor with the blue cheese. I mean, look, every kind of steak goes well with blue cheese, goes well with fat, goes well with that buffalo sauce. You might not have had buffalo steak before, but there's no reason why you can't, right? Okay, I'm going to turn the heat off on this. And we'll answer some more questions.
Yeah, he was asking if you didn't put blue cheese in the actual.
In the chicken? Somebody's asking if I put blue cheese in the chicken itself. No, I did not. I did not. No, that's going in the sauce only.
Have you tried that before?
And no, I've never tried it that way.
The hot thing with regular things is cheese stuffed meatballs.
Robert's saying it's kind of a hot topic to do cheese stuffed meatballs. I'll tell you what I used to do before I was keto was make risotto balls with a little square of smoked Gouda in the middle and deep fry them. Yeah, and I don't know if the konjac rice would hold up to that, but I agree. Like making a meatball with a little thing of cheese in the middle of it can be really, really nice. In the case of buffalo chicken meatballs, what cheese would I use? I would probably use Monterey Jack because it's a melty cheese. You know, it's a melty cheese, and it would melt nice, and it would taste nice too. It's a soft cheese. If you want something really soft, I'd go for a Havarti. That might be really good as well.
Great suggestion on here. Somebody says use it on
Fathead pizza. Somebody says use it on fathead pizza. Right. So fathead pizza dough is a staple in the ketogenic community, and it's basically almond flour and mozzarella cheese and egg and some xanthan gum and a little cream cheese, some garlic, salt, and you mix all that up in a food processor and it turns into dough. And you can use that as a base for just about anything. So if you took these meatballs, right, and chopped them up, because people like meatballs on their pizza, chop them up, put some of that buffalo sauce on there, maybe top it with some grated mozzarella, that would make an awesome buffalo chicken pizza. Good suggestion. Who is that? Let's call him out by name. Jason Wright. Oh, Amy Crawford said yes. Oh, the Carl's Head version?
Yeah, and I think if you do that, you've got another topping.
Right.
You could probably slice those meatballs.
Thin, yeah.
And now you've got
If you have another topping.
cheese, great topping.
So Robert's basically saying that, yeah, if you cut those meatballs thin and slice them thin, then you can add more toppings like onions and peppers and mushrooms and things like that. But the Carl's Head version, which is a silly name, it's just because I took out the egg, and I was like, it's so much better. It crisps up a little better, and to me, that's my version. I take out the egg. But it's still a work in progress, and I also want to do a shout out to Matt Murray, who's one of the Two Keto Dudes administrators, who sort of came up with the really best ratios of all of those ingredients, and he experimented with them a lot. So what are they looking like? They're probably not even close to done, but wow, look at that. So again, this is a convection oven. Oh wow, look at that. So the convection oven blows hot air. Convection blows hot air around the food, and so that tends to crisp them up, right? So what I'm going to do now is I think I'm just going to plate this because they're probably done inside. You probably want to maybe put them in for a little bit longer. But here's how I'm going to plate. I'm going to take some of this beautiful sauce, and I'm just going to put that right on the bottom of the plate. Now, you can see that there are still chunks of blue cheese in here. Don't be stingy with the sauce, right? If I was in a professional restaurant, I would do something like this, right? So look at that beautiful sauce right there. Then I'm just gonna, yeah, it's okay. I can do this. I have guitar player fingers, they don't hurt. I'm just gonna put a couple of those meatballs right down on there, like 3. 3 is better than 2, you know why? Because if there's only 2 balls in the bowl, that's kind of suspect, you know what I'm saying? Senor, the bull, sometimes he has to win too. Now, parsley, we need some parsley. I'm gonna just drizzle a little olive oil over the top of this. Look at that. Because, you know, we're ketogenic here. We love, love, love olive oil. Maybe a little pepper, a little black pepper. And some parsley is coming out too. I'm just going to put some flat leaf parsley over that. And then you've got your celery and your celery and your blue cheese dressing. So good. And I got a little flat leaf parsley for garnish because you know what? We have all the colors of the rainbow in here except green. Except green. You want a little green. If you want a different flavor, maybe some cilantro would be good. If you want some red color, some more of that fresh chopped red pepper on top might be really good. And that looks so good, I just want to eat it. Thank you for being with me on Carl's Keto Kitchen today. I'm Carl Franklin, and we'll see you next time. Go eat some bacon.